In a small, vibrant village, nestled between the lush hills of the Ashanti region, a son was born into the revered family of Osei. His birth was seen as a blessing, a continuation of a long line of respected elders. His name was Kwame Osei, named after his grandfather, a respected village chief. The child's face resembled his grandfather's so perfectly that it became a symbol of honor, and as per tradition, it was called Kwame Osei. From an early age, however, Kwame found himself questioning the customs of his people, especially the use of spiritual practices and rituals, as much of the village's tradition revolved around offerings, divination, and worship of deities. His family moved to the bustling city of Accra for a fresh start when Kwame's mother passed away, leaving a void in his life. Kwame's uncle, Nana Kwaku's younger brother, took him in and tried to help him adjust to life in the city. They settled in the area near the old colonial forts where the wealthy and powerful lived, including a powerful merchant known as Chief Kojo. Chief Kojo was known for his wealth and influence, as well as for holding extravagant festivals in which young girls would dance before him in exchange for the chance to be selected as part of his sacred servants. Kwame's fiancée, Kofi, was a beautiful young woman from a well-respected family. She had been betrothed to him from childhood, but their engagement was postponed as Kwame focused on his studies. One day, during the festival of Abokie, a festival to honor the ancestors, Kwame's curiosity led him to seek out Kofi, who was performing the ceremonial dance before Chief Kojo. After the dance, Kofi applied bright powders of color to Kwame's face, marking the start of the festival. But Kofi told him, "First, I must honor the ancestors and Chief Kojo with my offerings before I can celebrate with you. Only then can the festival truly begin." Kwame, feeling disillusioned, tried to explain to her that love and personal joy should not be delayed by such customs. But Kofi replied, "This is our tradition. The ancestors are more important than love." That evening, as the festival progressed, Kwame witnessed something that broke his spirit. He saw Kofi being led into Chief Kojo's mansion, where she would serve him in a practice known as the sacred service, which was often a euphemism for sexual exploitation under the guise of spiritual duty. Shocked and angered, Kwame confronted Kofi, but she explained that it was a tradition that all young women of their village eventually participated in. Devastated, Kwame broke off his engagement with Kofi, but she was unrepentant, caught between the pressures of tradition and her own heart. Kwame's anger grew, and he began to question the power dynamics of his culture, how traditions, disguised as sacred practices, could be used to control and manipulate the most vulnerable members of society. Determined to stand against what he saw as an unjust system, Kwame began writing articles in the local paper, challenging the old customs. His articles criticized the practices, especially the treatment of women, and he called for change. He sought out allies in the city, activists and thinkers like Nana Yo, a respected elder who had long argued that the tradition needed to be re-evaluated to match the changing times. However, the practice of sacred service keeps going, and he watches young girls being prepared for the same fate as Kofi, until one day, as Kwame was preparing to publish another bold article in his new magazine, Sankofa, Chief Kojo's men touched his printing press. This was a direct attack on Kwame's work, but he refused to be silenced. He knew his fight wasn't just about personal vendettas. It was about protecting the dignity and rights of women in their society. Kwame was soon joined by other like-minded individuals, including Kofi's younger sister, Afia, who had been inspired by Kwame's boldness. She had witnessed the same injustices but had been too afraid to speak out. Kwame's message had now become a movement. As the conflict between Kwame and Chief Kojo intensified, it sparked a much larger discussion about the role of tradition and the need for reform. Kwame faced opposition from powerful forces, including his own family, who were invested in the old ways, but he remained steadfast, knowing that true change would not come without struggle. Eventually, Kwame's persistence led to the exposure of the true nature of Chief Kojo's sacred service. When Kofi's letter reached Kwame after her tragic suicide, an act of despair after her failed engagement, and the crushing weight of tradition, Kwame vowed that her sacrifice would not be in vain. He used her story to rally support, and together they brought the truth to light. The final battle took place in a court of law, where Kwame publicly challenged the practices of the so-called sacred rituals, arguing that they were nothing but tools of exploitation masked as tradition. With the support of Kofi's family and other women who had suffered in silence, Kwame finally exposed Chief Kojo's crimes, and the people turned their backs on him. In the end, the village had to confront its own darkness and begin the long journey toward a more just and equitable society where the rights of women and the dignity of all were respected. Kwame Ose became a symbol of resistance against oppressive traditions and a leader in the fight for a brighter, more inclusive future.